I have to check. I think we are. I like that when you start it, you actually say hello and all that, and you sound all professional. And I started a conversation with myself, one of one, and decided to just chat to myself because I'm a fucking retard.
Well, I have like this thing that I do apparently at the beginning of every video now, so I keep it going.
Oh right, okay. Well, we are live, and we're live. Welcome everyone to a political recap. As you noticed from the title, two big topics. Yeah. About Brexit, because the vote's coming, and I was discussing just before with Trups what I might do to change game streaming days to accommodate for the voting, which we'll get to in a moment. Joining me is TrupsLP. Say hello, TrupsLP.
Hello, TrupsLP.
How is TrupsLP?
TrupsLP is all right. A bit weary this week. I don't know, just feel kind of in a haze, you know.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's all right.
What's causing
I've been getting some good amount of stuff done, though.
I noticed you've been pumping out a few extra videos. That's good.
Yeah, try to be more consistent.
It does help with the algorithm, but also it helps you as well. Just more content, more views. That generally gets things moving.
For me, it's a routine thing. I have to schedule myself and make it a habit.
Yeah, I do that. What I do in the morning when I wake up, I go and do some other things. About 9:30, I'll edit the video I've recorded the night before, and it'll be up within an hour. It will go up. It will be a little later once I've got the new avatar stuff sorted out, but that's taking forever. Damn you, Christina, and your poxy flu. You live in Florida. How the fuck did you get the flu?
I'm surprised that's all she caught down in Florida.
Yeah, I know. She could probably catch AIDS just from breathing.
No, that's California.
Oh, my bad. Wrong coast. And then what I do is during the day, around midday, I will have then decided what the next day's topic will be. I do the research, write some notes in a book which is next to me, and then I record just before I come into the voice chat on Discord. That's normally my routine, and I stick to that from Monday to Friday now, which is quite nice. Except for yesterday where I couldn't because I was too tired, so I just went to bed.
I feel as if the recording at night is much better because I would be able to edit during the day.
See, I have no choice because my sisters, and when they're here during the day, make a lot of noise. To the point this morning, I had to re-record about 12 times. So a 10-minute video 12 times, because every time I'd finished, I went back and all I heard was bang, bang, bang on doors. And I was like, I can't be arsed. To the point I had to go downstairs with people that had some visitors, and I politely said, "Shut the fuck up, you barnstorming thunder cunts." And they finally did as they told.
That?
Yes, they really did. In fact, it gave me 30 minutes of absolute peace. I was zen for that long. Anyway, we got a couple, as I mentioned, two topics we're going to cover. Do you want to cover your thing first, or my thing first?
Let's go with. Let's just go back and forth because I honestly could talk about mine for the entirety of this stream. So
and it may be rude. You may say it's rude, but how many times can I be bothered to listen to my sisters downstairs shouting, "Shut the fuck up! Bang, bang, bang" on doors? Honestly, me being a little bit more assertive was necessary. So yeah,
I identify with that. Yeah.
Let's start with whatever it is. What are we going to start with?
Let's hit on some Brexit stuff first.
I tell you what, I'm going to suggest we start on something else. We're going to start on something else that cropped up yesterday in Parliament.
Wow.
And it cropped up. It's not going to be Brexit just yet. It's going to be a video on Rabbit. I'm going to mute it, and I'm going to switch here, move that there. Nope, that's not going to work. What about this one? No, that's rubbish. This one will do. Fuck it.
I already don't like the
right.
phrasing.
This is terrible. Why is it positioned that badly? Let's move that there. That's better. Right, so this is a video. We're going to get to the part in question. It's just it involves Anna Soubry. Anna Soubry is a politician for the Conservative Party, very vocal on Brexit, bit annoying. Not this person. No, she's not it at all. I need to put my earphones in. I've forgotten again. Sorry. My apologies. Otherwise we'll get echo, 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 echo. And she got a considerable amount of, quotes, abuse recently. And the abuse... why is my earphone thing not working? There it is. Aha. The abuse she received has sparked some...
Did anyone else notice like the sharp like zoom in on like the center of her body there for like a hot...
Wait, what? Is it really?
When yeah, it like zoomed in slightly more.
Oh, did
like,
it?
It was creepy.
Wow. Okay. So,
anyway.
Anna Soubry took a bit of abuse from a bunch of people. It got mentioned in Parliament, and action has been taken in all areas. Office of Cox, oh God. Anna Soubry is a dumb Ramona. She's someone also that I believe does support us just remaining a part of the bloc. So we're going to play a clip of it. I've got 2 videos that we're going to look at for this. The other one I'll have to switch over and grab and put it back in here. And then we're going to cover one of someone else who gets a considerable amount of abuse, but mostly because I want you all to have a good laugh. Because, well, I'm not going to spoil it for you just yet.
You lost the people's vote. Anna, you're a fascist. Anna, fascist. Anna Soubry, you're a fascist. Can you just show that there are children? You're a fascist. Anna, what EDL without any proof? What EDL, Anna?
Okay, firstly, obviously she's getting a lot. I have to admit, this does look a bit like a bunch of guys gangbanging somebody. But her defence is, can you see the children and the police? They're not your shield? Or am I the only person that thinks this?
Though to be fair, I have to say it's a little bit harassy, you know.
Exactly, it does.
And I'm.
It looks harassing. She just what had just happened. She just completed an interview. And I've got a clip of an interview she did, which is quite funny. And she was just walking back to Parliament, and then she got accosted by these people. I generally take the view that this does look more harassy than what they said was the problem. It was more the fact of how fucking close you want to stand to somebody to continually just call them a fascist.
Yeah, it's a little like enclosing on personal space. There's a large number of people.
Yes.
They all seem slightly potentially aggravated. So if I were to engage in a situation like this, I would be a little concerned for myself.
I'm going to play a little more of this because reasons.
You're full of lies. You're fascist. You're full of lies. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh, and this is Owen. And this
journalist Owen Jones says he
this is
faced a
Owen
similar
Jones getting some abuse now. Now, I'm going to show a different.
I don't care about.
Oh no, we do. This is beautiful, because Owen Jones, I've got a whole compilation video of him getting shit. It's hilarious.
Posted this video online.
Have some roast gammon. Ooh, you're angry, aren't they?
Okay, so in Parliament yesterday during PMQs, Jeremy Corbyn stood up, and obviously Theresa May did, and any other person really that had a chance to. They did, of course, condemn this. But Jeremy Corbyn, Theresa May never mentioned Owen Jones, but Corbyn did. And that's just, that's so annoying. It's so irritating to give that little dweeb publicity. He is a proper little cock, and I can't be arsed. So
that's kind of how we feel about Jim Acosta. So like,
well,
or
that's
Don
not
Lemon.
surprising. I'm going to pull up the other video of Anna Soubry because it's funny. It's going to take a second to load. Here we are. Pause. That. Expand. Right.
Enhance, magnify.
Absolutely. I do object to
Listen
being
carefully.
called a Nazi, actually.
Right. Well, apologies to if you were offended by what you were
I
listening
just
to.
think this is astonishing. This is what has...
The word Nazi has lost all meaning.
Yeah.
Soubry is a Nazi. Soubry is a Nazi. It's a football chant now. Come on.
Oh, That reminds me of my all-time fucking favorite football chant of all time. Hold on.
I remember mine, by the way, before you look while you look yours up, and it was it weren't really chants. They were created by Andy Parsons on Mock the Week when he was mocking Northern Rock's collapse. I think he went with "You're going down with your Lights and Leicester," which is another former bank, which was quite funny.
Oh, here it is. It's Sunderland fans.
Oh, go on.
And it was Dick Advocaat's first game in charge of Sunderland.
Yeah.
And they were throwing around inflatable dicks.
Oh, really?
And then they took it away. I just sent it to you. And they started chanting, "We want our dick back."
Oh, hang on. I will go and get it.
Yeah,
and
please show this for like.
I will.
Like
oh, hang on. It loaded not in Rabbit. Right. Minimize that. So this is what you want. You want. Oh god.
This is beautiful.
Right. Pause that. Mute that for a second. Full screen that. Mute it. Go back to the start. No, stop doing that.
It likes you.
No, what it's trying to do is press play on the video. See, it dragged it back.
Yeah.
Is that an inflatable cock? Aww. Oh, they took the dick away. Oh dear God.
It's beautiful.
That is tragic. I'm going to put another video on quickly because obviously Owen Jones cropped up. He gets a lot of abuse, and there's one or two. He recorded this one, which I think is only because of all the times before he's gotten abuse. So I think he's only done it because of what he has more recently received. Let's see if I can get this right. Oh, you take your time to load. Fantastic. They got you arrested for using mini. Yes, mini dangerous. Thank you, Disco. Oh, this is. Oh, it's scrolling through stupid words.
Beautiful amount of credits. It's not even like good credits.
Yeah, I need to skip ahead a little. Oh, there it is. Right, we'll go here.
That's a face. That's a face right there.
Oh yes, Owen Jones's face, everyone.
That's his O face.
Playful. I think that
Do you hear the chat? Do you hear the audience?
scenario is a reunification.
Confidence that's all to play for.
I think that DP's worst case scenario.
What the fuck did they say?
They called him a wanker. Here we go.
I thought.
Yeah, Jew-hating party! Racist!
Jew-hating party? He's got a... Okay, there's a big argument on whether they are anti-Semites.
Hey, yeah, you racist, yeah. You Jew-hating party! Anti-Semitic racist party! Yeah, Owen Jones, you little snowflake! Scum of the earth! Put a snowflake in ya!
Oh... I mean, I feel bad for him in one sense, but it's a really small sense.
Talk to us, come on!
I gotta say,
come on!
these gentlemen don't sound the most intelligent.
Yeah, I know.
It's almost like what the stereotypical like chav voice.
Well,
Except for
it
dudes.
is, and there's nothing wrong with that in any context. To be honest, chavs are just chavs. I think what is being posited. He wants fame. He got it. Yes, quite right. Posited is that we need to create a safe space for politicians and for journalists to do their job. I put it to you and everyone watching that these people have bent over the public for too many years. They have abused their position and they've never been held truly to account. Did I miss the spotted dick thing? No? But yes, people, maybe not Owen Jones, but he has been disingenuous with some of the things he's reported. We've all mocked him. We've seen his videos. He's not a likable person. He makes mistakes. He never owns it. He just ignores it. Very typical personality, refuses to take responsibility for his failings. And I don't support harassing people. But I don't know what part of this constitutes harassment when they're just calling Labour Jew hating party, and him being a member of the Labour Party, yeah, just putting it out there. I don't think they're calling him a Jew hater. They're calling him a snowflake. Hello, Mandy. And based on how quickly people have gotten offended by most of this stuff, it just reinforces the snowflake part. Now, as a consequence for all of this, because I'm done with the YouTube videos, one of the leading activists called James Goddard, he regularly live streamed these confrontations, like the one with Anna Soubry, as a way of like boosting attention for the movement, which is based on the French Gilets jaunes movement, which is the yellow vest thing.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, it's just piggybacking off something else's notoriety to get fame. As a consequence, John Bercow wrote to the head of Met Police, urging the police to take action because of Anna Soubry, and obviously they have gotten involved. Facebook, although I don't know why they've done this, I think they should have kept it there, but limited access to it, so that at least then they could give the videos to the police. Facebook deleted the homepage of one of the most prominent members, which would be James Goddard, because all his streams are done to Facebook. The Met also promised a more robust approach to the group after this intermittent action, as it's been dubbed, during which Westminster Bridge was blocked. It's been claimed in a number of articles that Soubry was harassed, and it was sexist and racist abuse that was directed at TV crews. Now, I haven't seen that in the videos, so I don't know whether to believe that or not. In the letter that Bercow wrote to the Met Commissioner, who is Cressida Dick, he said, as a matter of urgency, a number of incidents of aggressive, threatening and intimidating behaviour towards MPs and journalists. There seems to be a pattern here of regular coterie of burly white men who are effectively targeting and denouncing members whom they recognise and dislike, mostly female and those from ethnic minority backgrounds, playing the victim cards to perfection, which is absolute nonsense. MPs are held to a standard. MPs have betrayed the people on too many occasions. You cannot continually do that without being held to account or being punished in the process. I think using race and sex ignores the fact that while the majority of MPs are white and male, ignores the fact that they get considerable abuse. That's not even a joke. It's a case that you may as well be ignoring anything they go through and deciding, well, their plight isn't as important. How very intersectional of you.
Now, another thing to consider with that is the people do vote for their representatives, correct?
Correct.
So then blacks and other minorities then would have voted for those white men to represent them. Now,
in some areas, yes.
well, then it would seem as if calling those people white male, and as a derogatory or rather a pejorative, would actually be disenfranchising the will of those minorities to vote them into office as representatives.
Yeah. Well, Bercow, rather interestingly, has dubbed those calling Soubry a fascist, them a fascist. It's like, that is the quintessential, no, you, you.
Your mom.
It's your mum. Yeah. I banter your mum so hard. That was quite funny back in 2010.
2009. 2009, okay.
It's quite a while ago.
10 years ago.
What was it? Where is it? Oh yes, the Assistant Commissioner, Lawrence Taylor, has said, we will deal robustly, which means fuck all, with incidents of harassment and abuse against anyone where that harassment or abuse constitutes a criminal offence. Officers in the area have been briefed to intervene appropriately where they hear or see breaches of the law. There was no breach of the law, though. unless you're creating a protected class around ethnic minority and female MPs, and I understand obviously it would include journalists, then you're not really doing anything, and they're not doing anything wrong. They are within their rights to approach anyone they want and say anything they want to them. This hate crime bollocks needs to die, okay? What do you think?
Quite. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just become petty at this point that I'm almost desensitized.
Understandably.
You gotta feel like when the news starts replaying these same talking points, different day, different person of like topic.
Mm-hmm.
You start to like just hear like a dial tone in the background, and that's about it.
Just a dial tone. I'm impressed.
Yes, I do know what that is. I'm not that young.
Wasn't what I meant.
I'm still a millennial, not a Gen Z yet.
You are a millennial, aren't you?
One of the last.
Right. I'm sorry to hear that. You're an endangered species. Did you want to move on to some of the shutdown stuff?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, hang on, I'll pull up this, switch it over to this. There we go. Okay, I've pulled up the Washington Post article.
Okay, so as some of you may know, the United States is going through one of the longest government shutdowns in history. The longest actually having been from 1995 to 96, which lasted 21 days. If our government shutdown lasts till Saturday, which is very likely.
27 days, by the way.
I'm sorry?
27 days from 95 and 96.
Oh, was it? Okay.
It's on the ABC article.
Right, we're on day 20 right now.
Yep.
There you go. That's it. Anywho's, thank you for the correction. Anyway, but we're definitely fast approaching that milestone. Now, with such a detrimental thing that you would hear about, your government has shut down. There's been a lot of speculation as to what that means. A lot of it has been from Tweedledee and Tweedledum, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. Have you seen some of the pictures that have come out on Twitter of their rebuttal of President Trump's Oval Office address? Meg.
Sorry, we're asking a message. There we go. Sorry. Yes.
I was saying, had you seen some of the back and forth memes of
I saw a number of them, yeah. I saw some fantastic pictures of Pelosi and Schumer stood next to each other, and they just looked like a middle-aged...
fuck, right?
They looked really old and really, stern parenty.
I looked at it, and my first thought was parents use Skype for the first time.
My first thought was dusty old lady still uses weave and draws on eyebrows with Crayola.
Ew.
Why does that sound you cannot be that old and still have brown hair, okay? Embrace the age.
Colored.
And that thick, fuck off. Nah.
And to Doc, I certainly hope Trump does not keep the government shut down until 2020 because, I mean, all things aside, the government shutdown is not inherently a good thing. And the phrasing of your statement makes it sound like Trump can choose to fix this at any point in time, but it wouldn't send the message that he's trying to get. So to answer the question that invariably is coming from those who are not aware is, why is the government shut down?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the United States Senate and House of Representatives decided that Trump's request for a $5.7 billion check to make a border wall to secure our southern border is not something that they want to budge on in the slightest. A couple of weeks ago, we actually showed the meeting between Trump, Pelosi, and Schumer in the Oval Office and how well that conversation went. It did not.
Mm-hmm.
However, this has led to certain speculation as to what the impact is. So this Washington Post article, that is what we're going to look at.
Yeah. I have it up.
So the second bullet that says, what exactly is a government shutdown?
Yeah, got it.
Much of the federal government gets its funding from annual budget appropriations decided by Congress. Since funding wasn't enacted for those certain agencies, they were partially shut down. Some of the employees working at those agencies have stayed on the job nonetheless, while others have been furloughed. Furlough is basically you are asked to go home and we'll call you back when you're needed. It's kind of like being put on a temporary leave by the federal agency, an unexpected shutdown.
Yeah.
So those who remain at work are called accepted, while those who are furloughed are called non-accepted or not essential, which are more commonly used but not official terms. Individual agencies make what these government, okay, whatever. Now, what the largest thing that the Democrats have been saying, if just for a quick second, Meg wants to hop to the ABC.
Yeah.
Is that workers will now, after these 2 weeks, will now be facing their first missing paycheck tomorrow.
I feel sorry for them.
Yeah, I do too. It is not fair that they must be made to be political pawns.
Yeah.
That much is
There is an interesting point to this. Trump could still get the wall anyway. He could, and it's actually referenced in this very video on this article, so I bothered to watch it. I could press play on that if you want.
if you'd like, sure.
Washington now, where the government shutdown is entering day 7 and refuses to fund his border.
George, good morning. Going, it'll build his border. Now
talks. There's no quote. Where was the quote?
Third longest on record.
Yeah.
800,000 federal employees are furloughed.
But the point is, like, yes, technically Trump could declare a national emergency.
In a video he did. It was someone put the question to him that he said it's an option. It's not one he's looking at. He was instead looking to negotiate and get the money.
He would obviously want to do it legislatively. It's cleaner, and it would look better for the country than if Trump decides to declare a national emergency. I am going to supersede the checks and balances that our system has because, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, some have also argued that if he did so, he would be brought under a lawsuit by Congress for an illegal appropriation of funds, which is actually a fair point. But they would have to then debate that out.
Right. How will that go?
That could take a while because you'd have to prove your point against Trump saying that what he did was in fact an illegal use of funds. And of course, it is always on the burden of the accuser to prove guilt. Wow. For some reason, I had a stroke while saying that.
Oh, I had a stroke when I saw what Prospero wrote.
Oh.
She's got a point.
The Reichstag fire. Oh, Jesus. I've been personally told to tell the chat to smash the like button.
Do whatever you want, chat.
But yeah, so... And there are certain things that they have already factored into the budget. Now, of course, these 800,000 workers who are mentioned here in this article, they don't get pay. However, the Senate and the House of Representatives made sure that their pay was secured. Now, this is the part that pisses me off. Because the people who aren't doing their jobs, not bringing anything to the negotiating table, they still get paid. Versus the people who are now acting as political pawns, they have to suffer. But the ones who are saying, no, we don't feel like negotiating, they're not losing anything. And in fact, the ones who are Democratic underneath them, those people are like, it's all Trump's fault. Versus the Republicans who look at Trump and go, I can grit and bear it. You fight this out.
That's not right at all.
No.
I feel like that's a bit of a kick in the teeth for, like, the actual workers who are being used.
Now, I don't know who's really to blame on the whole political pawn thing, because I don't think it was honestly Trump's intention to go this long with a government shutdown. I actually think that he would have assumed by now that they would have at least brought something to the table.
Well, isn't that a bloody-minded approach? We have it in this country.
I mean, a little bit is.
We have it in this country with our politics. I don't agree with you. I'm not going to engage in this discussion. It's pathetic.
But, like, they had a meeting earlier, I believe today. Trump, Pelosi, Schumer, Mitch McConnell, who is the Senate Majority Leader, and what's the guy's name? Kevin McCarthy, who is the House Minority Leader. And Trump has been back-to-back inviting Pelosi, Schumer, everybody to his office to discuss. He even started out this meeting, he handed out candy, apparently, to everybody.
Oh.
Yeah. And, you know, he went to everybody and said, okay, so if I open up the government, like, right now, in the next 30 days, could I expect some kind of bill, legislation, that would include a wall? Pelosi said no. And Trump goes, okay, cool, we have nothing to discuss. And he walked out. That was it.
Well, there's no point buttering them up more and more if they're just not going to engage.
Well, he's trying. I mean, like, he doesn't have to call them over and over again. He doesn't have to bring them into the office and give him his time.
Well, I agree.
He does not owe them that.
You're quite right.
It is their job as legislators to legislate.
Yep.
But the fact that he's putting it out on the table and saying, hey, look, we could sit down, we all can discuss, we can negotiate, we can work this out. He said in the Oval Office address, we could have this done and settled in 45 minutes.
In the chat, the UFO answer says, but Congress did their job for once and gave Trump multiple bills to sign. It was Trump alone that is shutting down the government.
That's not true. Mitch McConnell actually stopped them in the Senate. After the House tried to pass 2 bills, Mitch McConnell stopped it in the Senate.
Thank you for clearing that up. I didn't actually know.
Mm-hmm. So, though you could say that, of course, in Trump's camp, but still not exactly the same.
Okay. So what happens now then?
It's the most interesting game of chicken ever.
It really is a game of chicken, isn't it? It's like, it's just that. It's just that.
Yeah. But it's really unfortunate because there are certain programs that are necessary, and not to mention, though it is the 10th of the month and most payments have been made since the 5th, there are some bills that happen in the middle of the month, and these people have to make ends meet. Unfortunately, some have even been advised by their federal employers to take side jobs, have garage sales, or that of the sort, which is
sell art made by their children. I noticed that one.
It's a little demeaning in that sense.
How do other politicians respond to this? Like, how's the Republican Party or the Democrat Party responding to all this?
So the grand majority of the Republican Party is on board with the wall. There are 3 in the Senate and 8 in the House who have publicly stated they're not on board, or they're willing to make a compromise. Some of the Democrats are more split on it than the Republicans are.
How so?
Oh yes, I also apply for unemployment, but the problem with that turns out to be that unemployment processing could take several weeks, and by then the shutdown could be over theoretically, and then they would have to pay back all of the money they got. Oh, which, by the way, for all the people who are not currently working and are not receiving paychecks, they will get a payback once the shutdown ends for all the time they've missed and they have worked. But for some people who live paycheck to paycheck, this is a crucial moment now, not later.
Okay. So, if the Democrats are mostly divided, why is Trump engaging with them, those that are divided?
Because Schumer and Pelosi are the Democrat leaders in the House and the Senate. And
that seems weird, because the way our politics work, if there's a division in a party, the people who are trying to get a bill through, the government obviously, will then reach out to those rebels to get the votes.
Okay. It's weird because, okay, so we have a kind of a weird tiered system in our congressional bodies. We have a leader, and then we have a whip, and the whip is basically the person who is supposed to stir up all the voters underneath that particular political party to vote for a certain thing.
Right.
Those are the ones that are typically the ones that get interacted with, the respective leaders and whips.
Well, we have whips as well, but and they're supposed to keep the party in line, but that doesn't work. Certainly, Brexit is proof of that. And yeah, Mandy, you're right. The election was a lose-lose situation, really. And I don't know. It's always a mess. But then again, a lot of people I know didn't really care for that election anyway, because, well, your turnout was proof of it.
Right. So, right now, a lot of people are saying that the wall is the argument to be made, and some say no, it's actually Trump's ego. Unfortunately, this causes a dissension amongst what are we arguing now, and it's why I think the Democrats have refused to budge.
I thought it was all about the wall.
Yes, that is the majority of Republicans say yes, that is the case. Majority of Democrats think it's Trump's ego. But the thing is, Trump did promise to his constituents a wall during his campaign.
Right.
Of which he was then voted president. So you can at least say that at least 63 million people who voted for him agree.
Okay. And that was actually a point earlier when I set up the stream. I was looking at the chat. Somebody pointed out the wall was posited during the Clinton administration, reinforced by the Obama administration, and now chastised under the Trump administration.
Yes.
This is immigration policy again, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Damn you, Bill.
It all goes back to the immigration.
Bill's a dick.
But a lot of people will say that, one of the things that people have been like catching Pelosi and Schumer saying is that the wall is immoral, of which you've opened yourself up to a lot of commentary there.
Well, yeah, some have said. Oh, okay. Some take a very odd. Like we have it with Scotland. They with their position being it's what is it? Anti-immigrant, or anti-migrant, or xenophobic. That's the word. To have immigration policy. It's like, no. First role of government's to protect its people. If you don't protect your people, then you don't respect that they are your citizens, or that they are citizens. If you don't respect that, then you don't have anyone voting for you, because you've got a constitution that binds you.
Yes. I
don't know what to say really to that. Should I play the 8-second video, by the way, that you wanted me to play?
Yes, and this was a little zinger that Trump had actually posted around noontime East Coast America earlier today, which is cool.
Right. UFO answer says that another lie. 60% are against building a wall of any kind. What's 60%? Is this Is this in the Senate, Congress, or something? Because I don't know.
60% of whom?
Yeah.
Whole individuals, or 60% indicative of 300 million?
Right. I'm going to play this 8-second clip.
We now have an actual humanitarian crisis on the border that only underscores the need to drop the politics and fix our immigration system once and for all.
Okay, what was this in reference to, this video?
This was during Obama's presidency on the immigration reform that he wanted to pursue because it was popular amongst right-wing base.
Okay.
Now, the commentary that Chuck Schumer and several other Democrats have previously voted for a wall funding bill is basically agreed upon with this video, apparently. And so Donald Trump dug it up and said, President Obama, thank you for your great support. I have been saying this all along.
Right. I do like, many people did point out that they're different.
American electorate, how many were surveyed?
What are you talking about?
The 60%, 40%.
Oh, right. What I really like about these streams, right, is that I do my PMQ streams. I don't get anywhere near as much flack as you do on these. I love it.
Just because it's Trump. If it were anything else,
You think so?
Were anybody else, it wouldn't draw nearly as much vitriol.
Okay. I'd like to know more on that. What UFOs are talking about. It'd be very handy anyway. How long do you think this will go on for now? Will it be a case of it's going to keep going until someone gives in on the wall, or it will keep going until negotiations break down and Trump gets what he wants by declaring a national emergency and getting what he wants in the first place?
I think I'm going to say it's probably going to end with Trump declaring a national emergency.
He'll
because
get
he's
the
not
wall.
going to wait for the Democrats.
Yeah. He'll get the
He's
wall
not gonna
one
wait
way or
for
the other.
Right. Well, the Democrats haven't proven themselves as caring about their constituents, so why in the hell would he expect them to care about the 800,000 people now? It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If the basis of this argument is, we're protecting American lives from the fact that several illegal migrants, even so much as over Christmas, have killed people, have performed terrible crimes against the American people. If they really cared about the people, then they wouldn't have this much of a problem negotiating for the people instead of continuing to use them as pawns.
Okay, so in the chat, Mandy has said the wall is a distraction tactic for people who forget about the healthcare crisis, only country in the Western world without universal healthcare. Is this a distraction from greater concerns? Because I do tend to agree with that in the sense that there are far more pressing concerns to deal with, and the wall has become...
So that's interesting, because I found out earlier today that the House has been working on voting to repeal certain aspects of Obamacare. But I don't agree with Obamacare, so perhaps that point is lost on me. I don't agree with any kind of law that forces people to pay into a system and then penalizes them if they don't.
See, we have national insurance, and the way it works is that you pay national insurance, which is a very small amount, but you pay into it once you earn over a certain amount. And it's normally just a small amount taken from your wages. You're not penalised for it because it's taken automatically from your wages. So you don't notice it, so you don't miss it. It's not a compulsory payment. It's not direct debit or standing order. It's taken from your wages. And if you're self-employed, when you declare, then you pay the amount that is set. Some of it can be voluntary under a certain amount, but otherwise it's one of those and obviously, if all the money did go to healthcare from national insurance, I'd be very surprised. I don't think it does.
And what's something interesting is that they don't want to pay the $5.7 billion for a wall.
It's a very debated subject, healthcare,
they also don't want to argue that as a negotiating tactic. Okay, we'll give you 5.7 for a wall, but we're going to start implementing or we have to stop the House of Representatives attacking Obamacare. That's a negotiating tactic. Nobody's done that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, your healthcare thing, by the way, is very fucked. as a
yes,
whole,
it is.
a whole thing. I mean, I like that we have a healthcare system the way we do, but I also understand that it's so complicated. It really is. I can't crap on it as a whole because there are elements of it I really like, but it's such a
But
vastly
that's about it,
complex.
though, isn't?
It's,
Don't you? I remember us discussing several problems with your was it NHS?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember us discussing major problems with it.
Oh, there are, and the solutions.
A lot of it comes down to funding.
Yes, there are. I will agree there are some issues that can be resolved with funding, but there are other issues. But some of the solutions of just throw money at it isn't a solution. That's a case of that's just crazy. That's adhering to problem solving from before.
Right, and
doesn't
Maggie
work.
makes a good point here. We would have fewer healthcare problems if we were not caring for illegals.
Oh yes, but they're your core Democrat voters. Remember, I'm sarcastic. I'm being sarcastic.
In California, that much is true. What's more interesting is that Florida actually just passed a law that allowed felons to vote, which I have mixed opinions with. It isn't enumerated in our Constitution that felons have forsaken their citizenship essentially by committing crimes against the country, and therefore do not get the privilege of voting. However, for those who have been properly served their sentence, and have reformed themselves, I have mixed opinions because I want to give them that chance to be a new person. But also it's in the Constitution.
Okay, so in my opinion, if you're in prison at the time of voting, you can't vote. Once you've completed your sentence, you are given your rights back. You are given a chance to do it again, if you so choose to. There are people in this country who are also pushing for people who are incarcerated to be allowed to vote. Go ahead if you want, but I don't support it.
Right. It's a hard thing to kind of balance, and I'm not the one who really has the answer on that. However, there is prison reform coming, so I'm interested to see how that goes.
Prison reform, how does that work?
So, believe it or not, Kanye West's wife, Kim Kardashian, actually advocated to Trump directly for a prison reform bill. So it's actually decent prison reform, whereas certain people wouldn't necessarily have to stay as long for menial crimes.
Okay.
The repeat offenders of misdemeanors don't get penalized as a felon after a while. Basically, it is a more fair system to the whole of the country. Of course, there are exceptions to that rule, but I still agree with the idea of I would rather have 10 guilty people go free than watch one innocent man suffer.
Oh, in the chat, someone asked me, do I remember when the European Court of Human Rights said Britain had let prisoners vote, or should let prisoners vote? Yes, I remember that. I'm so glad we ignored them. Prisoners should not be allowed to vote. When you decide to either violate someone else's human rights or break the law of the land, you forfeited your rights, or certain rights.
Right. So that is one thing, but I don't know that you should be disenfranchised for life.
No,
maybe
not for life.
Federally, sure, maybe federally, but not state. Not as the representation is supposed to get closer to home. Maybe, I don't know. There's a possibility. Lol.
I'm about to say lol. Yeah, when it pops. I'll put it to you when it does. Do you think then that this will be over within a week, this shutdown?
I want to say yes, I really do.
There it is. I can't keep up with all this misinformation from TrupsLP. I can drop all his quotes and links disproving him in Discord and or the comment section. Please do. Feel free to do it. I'd be more than happy to receive anything that destroys and pwns this horrible, horrible, horrible person here.
Yes. Yes, yes.
It's disgusting. And thank you for the $5 donation. That's very kind of you.
But yeah, I think I've pissed off the audience enough. We want to go back to Brexit.
Well, we've got 10 minutes, so let's do that. Okay, so before the stream, I was telling Trups what's been going on. And I mentioned to you all at the start, I was thinking about rejigging a few things. Trups is located somewhere in America. I don't know where. The vote, the meaningful vote, is supposedly going to now happen not on Monday, when it was initially suggested it would be, but it'll be happening on the Tuesday, January the 15th. Now, on Tuesday, January 15th, I'm going to be streaming American Truck Simulator, but I may instead stream that on Monday and move to have another stream for this, for the vote and the subsequent fallout on the Tuesday, which is a fantastic way to spend your birthday. Don't you agree, Trups?
Oh, I would totally. That's exactly what I would want to do on my birthday.
Right. That's what I'm going to do on mine. Either that or drive trucks. I've yet to decide. What I know so far, though, is that the government is suffering more and more defeats in Parliament. The first came in the form of the Finance Bill, where MPs backed by 303 votes to 296 an amendment which would limit NPC confirmed. Thank you, Fairy Kitten. Would limit the scope for tax changes, so prevent the government from raising more taxes. Amber Lynn for Senate, raising more. It would stop them from raising more money for taxes. So that in the case of no deal, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do whatever they can to make no deal seem worse than the bad deal, or sorry, the deal. Now this is a very close result, though. It doesn't show that the Remain side, or those that want to destroy the government, have a huge majority, because 20 Conservatives, or Tory rebels, had to vote in favour of this amendment to get it through. Otherwise, the government would have prevailed and the amendment would not have been attached. Which tells me there is still a chance for no deal to actually happen. There was another one, another defeat to the government, where she now has to. Another amendment has been supported. What does it do? It won by 308 votes to 297, and it forces the British Prime Minister to present an alternative plan to the current deal within 3 sitting days. So essentially she has until Friday if the vote is lost on Tuesday. If she loses, she has to come up with a new plan within 3 days. Or what? And that's the thing. The thing here is, if she loses the vote anyway, a vote of no confidence will be triggered by the leader of the opposition. We know this. So we know that it won't go much further than, well, that. Tuesday's going to be D-Day. I'm going to make a very funny thumbnail for it. I'm going to have to. And it's going to be a case that she's going to lose. He'll call a vote of no confidence. We're stuck. The thing is, the only 2 options available are deal or no deal. And if we take the deal, we will be wishing in a year's time to have taken no deal. Because quite frankly, no deal to me feels better than the deal being presented. And Plan B will be exactly that, a blank piece of paper. Because I don't believe this government has any solutions. Now, under the existing legislation, Theresa May has 3 weeks to come up with another Brexit plan, which allows her to run the clock, or run down the clock to exit day and increase the chance of a no-deal Brexit. So previously, she had 3 weeks from the day of the meaningful vote, meaning then by the time that had happened, we'd have 5 weeks, which is painful. I think with what is being presented, and we've all seen the deal, it basically means that, I don't know, it basically means that they're trying to remove an option from the table to make us look weaker. And the problem here is, and I take real issue with this, in the sense that, and I love the debate you guys are having in the chat, that's fantastic. In the sense
I stopped responding. I posted in your Discord that they can put all the links there. It'll be easier for me to find them.
Yeah, good idea. With no deal, it was always the ace in the hole. It kept the EU in check until Theresa May opened her mouth and negotiated a deal, and the deal unfortunately happened to be worse than no deal. Although many argue no deal's going to hurt us, but they all agree that the deal hurts us as well. It's a case of it's not, none of this ends well. So what should we do? Well, apparently there are two different options entirely: remain or bend over and take it. You know, take some of that precious cultural enrichment. The part I was going to take real issue with. So the part I take issue with is that those who are now tearing apart the deal, tearing apart the option of a no deal, those same people are simultaneously calling for a general election. They are calling for not just a general election, they are calling for a vote of no confidence. They are calling out the Prime Minister at every opportunity. But if you're going to call for a general election to then potentially have one, to campaign under the guise of negotiating a better deal with such a short amount of time left, you have to show your hand. And that's not what you've done. Corbyn didn't do it. In fact, I have a 44-second video that I'm going to play of it, where Jeremy Corbyn talks about this, but says nothing of substance at Wakefield on the subject of Brexit. He just doesn't. He doesn't have an answer for it. So here we go.
The policy on Brexit we put forward is one of negotiation around a customs union, around protection.
But they won't do it. The EU have said no.
Of rights at work, consumers and environment.
The only way you get that is to stay in the customs union single market, and the only way you get that is by staying in the EU.
And not allowing our workers' rights standards to fall below those of Europe, which is implicit in what the
ours are higher.
Government's own legally binding document suggests would be put forward.
Although I would argue our government has already suggested enshrining the work time directive. So where's the problem?
And so our policy would be to negotiate urgently with...
They won't negotiate.
...the EU as and when we take office, but clearly a general election must come first.
Okay, I'm stopping this now. The EU has stated they will not negotiate any more on this. So everything he has said is hogwash, because they will not engage on this. And this has forced a rather interesting encounter to take place. I need to wait for the inevitable advert to finish in 15 seconds before I show you the video, because it's worth it. Do you think she'll resign before or after the exit date? She'll resign before the next general election. That's all I have. Right, pause that, expand that, full screen that. This is a video from the comments where Michael Gove, the, I believe now, Health Secretary, isn't he? Is he health or is he foreign? I think he's foreign. He's basically a world-class snake. He says something in Parliament that got my attention, and it made me chuckle to no end.
What do those 6 tests mean? Well, let's listen to the words of the Shadow International Trade Secretary, the member for Brent North, when he was asked about those 6 tests. He summed them up pithily in a word which in Spanish translates as cojones, and in English rhymes with rollocks. Now, I know, Mr. Speaker, that there are some distinguished citizens in this country who have put on their cars a poster or sticker saying to Brexit.
Bollocks was the word.
But we now know from Labour's own front bench that their official Brexit position is...
He said bollocks twice in Parliament. And look, the Speaker has yet to chastise him. Right, so this is that was from the Daily Mail. The reason, and the reason I bring this up is because that's basically Labour's policy is bollocks. There were a number of people who got offended. Now, he did, in context, point out someone else had said it as a response to the whole Brexit thing, right? The Speaker has dismissed this when many complaints came in that said that Michael Gove had breached conduct rules. But actually, no, he hadn't. Under the section of unparliamentary language is unparliamentary language that breaks the rules of politeness in the House of Commons chamber. That's it. That's all it is. It's not a case of him attacking somebody. He was just making a statement. He wasn't calling him dishonest, which you can't do. John Bercow, though, while doing that, which is actually a good thing, I want more profanity because it's fantastic. A shame they bleeped that. He has, however, been stymieing the government to the point where they're now absolutely, yeah, quacks. I wonder what that's like for you. Where he's basically been he's been overruling aides in a bit of a weird stretch of his own power. And by doing so, he has been enabling Remainers to do more to stymie no deal. And this is causing a lot of dissension. And I have to admit, personally, I think it's quite concerning. And I think if anyone is worried about no deal possibly being sabotaged, Bercow is a key player in this. I think if it doesn't happen, he played a part in it. I think if we do accept the deal, then this doesn't matter. None of it matters anymore.
Hold on. I need to stop you real quick because this is the easiest way for me to answer. To the UFO answer, Trups, you are arguing that the majority of Americans in aggregate are in favor of a multi-billion tax-funded wall. No poll is big enough for you. The popular vote isn't big enough for you. No. I am not arguing that the majority of Americans in aggregate are in favor of a multi-billion-dollar wall. I am arguing that your statistics claiming that a majority of Americans are not in favor of a wall is insufficient to prove that claim.
Trump's views are his own, and by that extension, don't downvote my stream because of him. I hope you two have fun arguing over that, by the way.
Hell yeah.
As to finish up, I guess, I will do what I can to keep people updated on this, the Brexit related stuff, as it is coming to a head. It's getting good now. As I say in the description below, everyone has the potential to be an agent of chaos, and I think if this goes to shit, yes, we can all be agents of chaos together. Is there anything you?
I already am, apparently.
Apparently so. Yeah, I wrote the stream. I'm not calling him that, though, Carlos. Is there anything you'd like to stream before? It's not stream. Shill before we finish.
Yeah, I put up a video earlier this week on a petition from a student at Northwestern who is trying to get their professor, who is an evolutionary psychologist, banned from the university.
Right.
I'll link that in chat momentarily.
Okay. I should have a new video up tomorrow morning, and I'll be streaming Eurotruck on the Omegon Place channel tomorrow evening at 9 o'clock p.m. GMT. Is it done?
And to answer your question, UFO, that is your burden of proof, not mine.
Right.
There's that.
Have you put it in the chat? Fantastic. Well, thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you for the entertaining chat. I have to admit, watching you guys go backwards and forwards, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I quite enjoy it myself.
Brilliant. Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.